One would be start with yourself, right? I think we try to make change so big and it can get quite overwhelming easily, when you look at the whole systems, for example. Number two, and I'll sort of like contradict myself in a bit, but start small, right? Like things within your control, small experiments that you can run, and then you sort of like iterate on those experiments. And then the contradiction in point three would be go big, go for it, right? I was working with a school in South Africa, and they had a beautiful Xhosa word that was called Kuyahanjwa. But Kuyahanjwa meant go big or go home, right? And so start with yourself, do a small sort of step, but then go for it once you run those experiments and see what you can do. So I think that's what I would say.
Is first and foremost, I think it's really important that as a teacher, particularly, that you get yourself properly informed about what's really going on, because otherwise you can be educating people into the existing set of problems. So I think you need to understand what's wrong with democracy. You need to understand what's happening with the climate. You need to understand about the biodiversity crisis. You need to understand what's happening with inequality in all its various forms and where the roots of that are. Because unless you're informed about it, you won't have the power or the energy, the emotion to want to do something about it. And you have one of the most powerful tools there, which is being an educator and being in front of your students. And then you have to think about, okay, then how do I start to create an environment where we can start to have those innovative conversations and find those different questions? And those are, there's lots of great techniques out there for cross discipline learning and collaboration and whatever. And that kind of engineered serendipity needs to be made. You need to do it in your own life. You need to do it within your organizations as well. And the third thing I would say is connect with nature. So many of us are so completely disconnected with the planet, and that we just think it's just going to carry on doing stuff. And actually, if you want to improve your mental health, you want to improve your ability to function, and being in nature and connecting with nature and understanding it is incredibly good for human beings. And yet it seems to be almost completely absent from our education system and indeed our economic system. There's a great quote from Hubert Reeves, who said, "Man is the most insane species. He worships an invisible God and destroys a visible nature, unaware that this nature he's destroying is the God that he's worshipping." And so we need schools to understand that stuff. Because at the moment, if I look at my own son's education, and I have a great deal of affection for my son's teachers, but he's never been asked to ask the proper questions, and he's never been encouraged to go like, what's wrong with democracy? He's being taught about how we got to the democracy we've got, for instance, and wasn't that a great innovation? He says it was 200 years ago, but nobody wants to ask the really innovative questions. And if teachers don't teach our kids to ask innovative questions, then we end up with what we've got at the moment, which is leaders who can only answer the questions of the past with the thought processes of yesterday.